Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanTrucks.com, and today we're taking a closer look at, listening to, and installing the Rough Country dual exhaust with black tips with the side and rear exit, available for the 11 to 14 5-liter F-150. Right off the bat, as you just heard from our sound clips, I'm giving this 3 out of 5 on our loudness meter, making it the perfect daily driver exhaust for someone who wants to make a little bit more noise for their daily commute without being too overwhelming, but somebody who also wants a loud bark when they get on the throttle, especially at wide open throttle. As you heard from those sound clips, the red light to red light normal driving gives you a really deep, aggressive rumble. Again, not too overwhelming. At some low RPMs, you may hear some interior drone, but I didn't find it very annoying at all. You can still have a simple conversation with family in the truck, and you can listen to music no problem. Hitting highway speeds, you definitely get a louder bark as you're accelerating, but it really mellows out at highway speeds. Again, little drone, not too overwhelming at all. You can still have peaceful road trips. Something, again, that's best of both worlds in the category. If you're looking for a little bit more volume, there are some 4 out of 5 and 5 out of 5 options that'll really blow your ears out. And if you're looking for something a little bit more mellow, there are some more tamed options out there, like the Borla Touring, for example. Now this guy here is a little bit unique compared to some of the other options. It is a dual exhaust. It converts your single side exit that dumps out behind the passenger tire to a dual exhaust with 2 different exit styles to choose from, both included in the kit. Now, what you get here is a dual side exit, meaning it's basically taking the factory exit and replicating it to the driver's side, or you can swap the tips out to go with a dual rear exit, and that's what we have here on the truck. Now this is our 2013 5-liter F-150, and you can see with the dual rear exit, it gives it more of a muscle truck look with both tips coming out a little bit farther out past the rear bumper. This guy here is going to be for the guys who are really looking for a change up. If you kind of want to make it look a little more OEM, the dual side exits are going to be for you. But either way, both are included in the kit, and you can easily swap out the exit styles in about 15 minutes or so from start to finish. It's a really simple process. The entire system here is made from 409 stainless steel for the tubing. The muffler and the tips are 304 stainless steel to really beef up the quality of those materials. The muffler and the tips are things that you really do not want to rust out. The tips because you want to keep the appearance, and the muffler because you want to keep the quality of the sound. We'll take a closer look at that, comparing it to stock in just a little bit. The price tag for this guy comes in right around $550. Install, I'm giving 2 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter. It'll take you about 2, maybe 3 hours from start to finish, depending on your personal experience. Very simple hand tools are required. Depending on your cab size and bed length, you may need to use, omit, or make modifications to the extension pipe included in the kit. That may require some cutting, again, depending on your cab size and bed length. We have a super cab with the 6.5-foot bed, in which case we didn't have to do any cutting and we didn't have to use the extension pipe at all. Again, check the instructions for proper fitment. I'm gonna show you guys every step of that process. What do you say we get started? Tools used in the install include an impact gun, a ratchet, a pry bar, hanger removal tool, 10, 13, and 14 millimeter swivel sockets, 15 millimeter deep socket, 10 and 14 millimeter wrenches. First step here, grab a 15 millimeter ratchet. We're gonna start just in front of the muffler, toward the front of the vehicle. Between the resonator and the muffler, there's one clamp separating the exhaust into 2 pieces. I'm gonna take them off in 2 pieces. I find it makes life a little bit easier, so loosen up this clamp. Next, to the right of that clamp, there's a hanger from the muffler going to the frame. You can pop this hanger out of the isolator, but I am gonna find it a lot easier to take these 2 10 millimeters off of the frame and remove the bracket, and then just swap it over to the other exhaust. I'm gonna use a 10 millimeter swivel socket for this. At this point, the exhaust is just being held on by 2 more hangers. There's one directly above the rear side of the muffler and one directly above the tailpipe itself where it exits. You should be able to slide the entire exhaust back from the point that we disconnected where the clamp is, all the way back to the tailpipe in one piece. If it is getting stuck, you can grab a hanger removal tool and a helping hand to pop them out. All right, so now I'm gonna use a pry bar and my buddy Joe to help me guide this guy off. Last step here, we have a resonator pipe connected by this factory flange. Grab a 13 millimeter socket. I'm gonna recommend a swivel and get those 2 bolts off. So we got our factory exhaust off of our 13 F-150 and it's on the ground here next to our Rough Country dual exhaust. Let's go through some similarities and differences here, and I'm gonna start at the front of the vehicle. You can see the extension pipe coming off of the Cats is very different than the factory one. The factory one has that resonator pipe built into the factory piping. This guy here is more of a resonator delete pipe, so it's getting rid of that airflow restriction and sound restriction rather, really. That thing is gonna muffle some of that sound that you wanna really get aggressive out of the 5.0. So straight pipe there going into the muffler. That's a 3-inch 409 stainless steel with the mandrel bent. The mandrel bends reduce the kinks that you would get out of the factory exhaust piping. Now moving forward from there, you can see a huge, massive difference between the new muffler and the old muffler. Old muffler is absolutely giant. That thing's got a ton of baffling on the inside, minimizing the sound. This Rough Country one is probably a third of the size of the factory one, and it's got minimal baffling on the inside. That single chamber muffler is producing the sound you heard from our sound clip earlier on. It's something that is gonna minimize restriction, just like I said before, and it's something that produces a loud bark. Now that obviously has a black powder coated finish on top of a 304 stainless steel. The muffler is something you definitely don't want rusting out. It can drastically change the quality and the sound that the muffler produces if it does rust. 304 stainless is the higher quality materials as opposed to the 409 for the rest of the kit there. And the black powder coated finish adds corrosion and rust resistance to that as well. Now obviously it's got a single inlet and a dual outlet going into the dual 2.5-inch 409 stainless steel, wrapping over the axle and around the spare tire carrier to dump out with 2 different exit styles. This way you get your choice between a side exit dual exhaust and a rear exit dual exhaust. Side exit is a little bit more traditional in terms of the exit style. The factory exhaust obviously dumps out behind the rear passenger tire. This is going to do the same thing and replicated on the driver's side. And then you have your option to swap it over to the rear exhaust, which is pretty self-explanatory. Either way, you get a dual-wall 304 stainless /cut black powder coated tip. Those are a huge upgrade over the factory tip, which is virtually non-existent. That is just straight up regular pipe coming out of the rear, so spicing things up with the tips here is gonna make a huge difference appearance-wise. The black powder coated finish and 304 stainless, same as the muffler there, beefs up the quality and adds to its corrosion and rust resistance, and it honestly just gives it a stealthy look. With that said, we're gonna install the entire exhaust from head to toe. I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like with the side exit, and then we're gonna swap over to the rear exit and complete the exhaust install from there. Next step, we're gonna take our new flange pipe, it's a lot shorter than the old one, and we're gonna install it on the factory flange using the new bolts. All right, make sure you have a washer on the bolt head going through the back. This can get a bit tricky to hold that guy in place. You're gonna follow up with a flat washer along with a split washer and the nut. All right, same thing for the other one. All right, now we can tighten those 2 down. All right, at this point I'm gonna grab a 14 swivel socket and a 14 wrench and tighten those 2 down. All right, we don't want to over tighten them just yet. We want to leave some room for adjustment, and we'll come back at the end and tighten them down. Put a clamp over the flange pipe we just installed. All right, follow that up with the longer pipe, angling it toward the driver's side. All right, so it starts off on the passenger side and angles toward your driver. And again, we're just gonna get this snug and leave room for adjustment. All right, grab a 15 socket and get that clamp snug. All right, next up, we're gonna take the factory hanger that we removed earlier and put it back on the frame using the factory 10 millimeters. All right, grab your 10 and tighten them down. Next up is gonna be the hanger clamp. It's basically a clamp with a hanger welded onto it. You're gonna insert that over the pipe that we installed last and slide that into the isolator on the frame. Just like that. And now we can tighten down that clamp. All right, next you want to put your muffler on and make sure you have a clamp on the single inlet. Slide it onto that pipe. All right, again, get that snug. Next up is going to be our driver's side pipe that goes over the axle and into the hanger on the frame. Make sure you have a clamp over the driver's side outlet on the muffler. All right, slide that over the axle, make sure it connects to the hanger on the frame, and slide it into the muffler. All right, now we can get that clamp snug. Let's do the same thing for the passenger side. All right, next we're doing the same thing to the passenger side. You want to put a clamp over the muffler outlet. Then you're going to start with this S-curved pipe and insert that into the outlet. All right, put a clamp over that pipe. Take the next pipe and insert that over the pipe that goes into the muffler while simultaneously lining it up to the hanger on the frame. Next up, let's tighten the clamp down that connects it to the muffler. Slide this one around as well and get that snug. Next up, we're going to do the pipe that swivels around the spare tire carrier to the driver's side. Install a clamp over that pipe first. Bring this guy up and connect it. Now we can get that tight. Next, take this threaded nut clip and insert it into the square hole on the frame directly above the hanger on the pipe we just installed so that the threading goes into that open hole. Next, you're going to insert the bracket with the new hanger onto that U-nut clip. Insert the bolt through it with a flattened lock washer, thread it in by hand, and then tighten it down with the hanger facing the inside of the vehicle. For this, I'm going to use a 13 swivel socket. Insert the red isolator included in the kit onto that hanger on the frame. Lift up the pipe that you just installed and connect it to the red isolator. Next up, we're gonna choose to do our side exit style tips first, and then I'll show you guys how to swap over to the rear. Insert one of them over the over-axle pipe. Make sure it's angled so that it's going under the bumper, not into the bumper, and make sure you have a clamp on the end. Tighten that guy down. All right, repeat for the other side. At this point, guys, if you know you want the side exit, you can install your tips. They basically just slide right over that pipe, grab a 10mm socket and wrench and tighten them down, repeat that on the other side, and you'd be good to go. If you want to see how the rear exit gets installed, I'm not going to tighten these tips down just yet. I'm going to take these guys off. At this point, we can swap the side exit style for the rear exit style, and then I'll tighten these down. If you want to swap your exit style, all you have to do is grab a 15 socket, loosen and remove the pipe that swaps it from the side exit to the rear. So we're going to remove this guy next. You want to make sure you're holding on to that clamp. Now we can put the rear exit style on. Like that. Angle it the way you'd like and tighten it down. From there you can put your tip on, grab a 10mm socket and wrench and tighten down the tip. Repeat that on the other side. That's going to wrap up my review and install for the Rough Country dual catback exhaust, available with black tips with the side and rear exit for the 11 to 14 5-liter F-150. Get yours right here at AmericanTrucks.com.